and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. I'm your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me to break down NFL Week 9, our favorite bets, or some player props, and all the stuff you should be taking a look at heading into the weekend, it's Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's going on, Kyle? Yeah, we were just talking pre-recording. Like, this week's lines have already started to make some pretty drastic movements, having us adjusting our bets and so forth. Yeah, with all the injuries and COVID situations going on, this week is literally going to be up until game time as to figuring out which lines are the best to take.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Obviously, the Aaron Rodgers situation with Jordan Love now under center, that line has gone from the Packers as a couple point favorite to a 7.5 point underdog, which, you know, the way the Chiefs have been playing, I don't know if we want to necessarily get in front of that. The Niners Cardinals line has been all over the place. I told you I liked it when we recorded on Monday. There's potential Kyler Murray doesn't play. I've seen it
or even limited.
I've seen the Niners at -1. I've seen the Niners at +1, +1.5. So that's all over the board. You know, shop it if you want to find a number you like. The Steelers are up to 6.5 point favorites on Monday night. What other lines? Oh, your Cowboys are all the way up to 10, depending on where you shop. The Texans are down to 5.5 with Tyrod Taylor under center. We're talking 14.5 in Buffalo. We talked about that a little bit on Monday about getting on that train. There's a few that have really, really moved. Oh, and then the Saints are up to 6.5. We'll be talking about that one. That one's a number that I don't know. With that being said, let's jump into it. Let's talk some of our favorite bets. And I'm going to go with my, square side play of the week. But the Chargers getting less than a field goal on the road against Philly. I know Philly just dump trucked the Lions, but I think that says a lot more about where the Lions are than where the Eagles are. I think the Eagles are a good bad team. So when they play other bad teams, they look really good. And when they play good teams, they don't look as good. And I know the last 2 weeks have not been great for the Chargers, with the loss to the Ravens, then the bye, then, obviously the loss at home to New England. But I think the Chargers are a really good team. I think they have too much talent on both sides. They're getting healthy on both sides of the ball. And I think they go into Philly, win this game by a field goal or more. And with that being said, we hit the over. We get 50 points. I think this is a game where the Chargers are up. And kind of let Philly do what Philly does. Jalen Hurts runs around, climbs back into it, scores a little bit, and then the Chargers win something like 31-17. All right, 34-17. Does that get us there? That's better. Yeah. Trying to do math on the fly here. But yeah, I think, a couple late touchdowns. We hit the over. The Chargers still cover, and we cash some tickets.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on as far as laying the points with the Chargers here. I think that the public is probably a little bit down on them with their two most recent performances, as they've been pretty bad. They've looked pretty bad. Justin Herbert looks like he's taking a step back, but everyone's going to be enamored with what Philly did this last week against the Lions, who are probably the worst team in the NFL. I mean, I love what Dan Campbell brings on the field in terms of what his passion to the game and everything. But when you look at that roster, when you look at that defense in particular, like, they have a bunch of practice squad guys going out there, and that is not what the Chargers have on defense. So Philly, who cannot pass the ball, is going to run into some serious problems this week early in the game. And then this year's version of what Deshaun Watson did last year in terms of just being the garbage time fantasy football superstar, Jalen Hurts will late in the game be able to put up some points to get this over.
Yeah. I think Philly is a lot closer to that Detroit, Houston, Miami, and that does not bode well, even as a home dog.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our favorite team, the Buffalo Bills. Um, Even in a game where they looked like absolute garbage a week ago, they still managed to cover 2 touchdowns against Miami. They get to play another Florida team. You're hitting the team total on the first half. Talk to me about this play.
Yeah, Buffalo's hit over this mark in 4 of their last 5 games, with the only 2 times being against the Dolphins of the last 6 games where they didn't hit the mark,
Yeah.
surprisingly. It just must be, that divisional, matchup of them recognizing each other. But Jacksonville has all sorts of problems on defense. They're beat up to, you know, smithereens. Like they are trash. I don't think Jacksonville is going to be able to do much on offense, which I think is what will cause this to go over, giving Buffalo a lot of shorter fields to operate with. Stephon Diggs potentially could have his big breakout game this week. You see Josh Allen get back to MVP form. I think this is an absolute dump trucking, as you would say, early in this game. Buffalo puts up 28, maybe even 30 in the first half, and this game is over fast.
Yeah, even like 21-3 gets you there.
Yeah,
James Robinson's banged up. He's been a big part of what they do. And if
I don't
Jacksonville
think he's going to play either.
tries to spend most of the game trying to run, they're not going to get very far. So,
No.
I mean, the Bills minus the 14.5, the Bills team total over, Bills in the first half. I mean, there's a lot of ways to attack this game. I think that play makes a ton of sense. Brian, it's time. Carolina Panthers plus 3.5.
Oh no.
Interesting spot, obviously, New England. After a week after beating the Chargers in LA, back on the road, right, against Carolina. Carolina.
Yeah.
This ballooned up to 3.5. Christian McCaffrey is supposed to play, or potentially going to play. If he makes such a difference for what they want to do offensively, and this team has not looked nearly as good. I know we could be heading towards Sam Darnold being a pumpkin again. This is the team that made him see ghosts. But I think New England is not as good as we saw last week. I think Panthers are better than we saw last week. The Panthers are at home. I think if you can get the 3.5, I would be all over it. If it's at 3, it's okay. If it's anything inside there, I'm not touching it. And I think if McCaffrey's a for sure go, this is 3, 2.5 at the worst. So I think there's an opportunity here to jump back on our Panthers. This is also a revenge game for Stephon Gilmore. I think this is a golden opportunity. I think Carolina rebounds. I don't even hate taking a look at the money line if you want to get a little aggressive, but the 3.5 I love with the home team.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a game where, especially if Sam Darnold clears concussion protocol, which he was limited today, so we'll see. Yeah. He's trending in that direction.
But even
if he doesn't, though, I can see this being a very slower paced game with McCaffrey touching the ball, 15, 20 times. Yeah. Not necessarily all in the running game. Like they get him out in space. They use a lot of Chuba Hubbard as well. So, you're seeing both of them on the field. They're trying to slow down the game.
Or Amir Abdul in the backfield. But
actually speed up the game.
Yeah, but from the quarterback perspective, as much as I like Darnold and I'm happy to see him have a little bit of success, in the grand scheme of things, between him and PJ Walker, is there really that much of a difference? I can't say that
I will say Christian McCaffrey cures a lot of quarterback inefficiencies. Yep. I mean, he is so good that if McCaffrey does play, I love the Panthers with the points.
And I'm buying low, trying to get opportunities and jumping on it. Let's head to Baltimore, and let's talk about the Ravens. This was a bet we both really liked. It did not make my final card just because the number really hasn't moved and it kind of spooked me. But you're on it, so talk to me about this play.
Yeah, there's not too much analysis going into this other than the fact that Baltimore is getting, they're getting healthy on the defensive side of the ball. They are fresh off of a bye. Minnesota just lost a game against Cooper Rush at home. I mean, like, how much more do you want to see out of this Vikings team before we
Yeah.
start just realizing, like, this is not the Purple People Eaters version in the, mid 2000s, late 2000s, where they were able to put points on the board. This team is not good. They're likely going to be without their nose tackle, Michael Pierce, who former Baltimore Raven. That would be a tremendous loss for them going up against this Ravens rushing attack. And then Baltimore got Sammy Watkins back on the practice field today, and although he's not what he was, that's going to be the first time they have him, Bateman, Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews. Like, this team is molding into form Baltimore into potentially the best AFC team. So yeah, Baltimore laying less than a touchdown at home against a floundering Vikings team. Hammer that.
Yeah, I will back you in the game by taking the under of 50. I like the under in this spot. Obviously, the Vikings want to run the ball. The Ravens are going to run. Obviously, they're throwing a lot more this year. But I like Baltimore. I think this could be a 34-13 kind of game.
Yeah.
I think this could be an ugly win. I think there's a lot of ways where this stays under 50 points. This was 46-47. I would not be nearly as excited, but I think because of where it's at, because of the number that I'm getting, I just think it makes too much sense. I think if it dips below 50, I might be a little less optimistic about pulling trig, but at 50, I'm all over the under here. Brian, it's time. Hit us with your Week 9 NFL teas.
All right. Hopefully, I don't get some surprising performance by somebody that winds up effing this up. But so I'm going with New Orleans. This line continues to creep up. They started at 6. It's up to a full touchdown now, hosting the Atlanta Falcons with the news that Taysom Hill is practicing in full. And regardless of whether or not he's starting, Trevor Siemian's starting, this team's defense is the reason why they are as good as they are right now. And Atlanta minus Calvin Ridley, they just do not have the juice on offense. I do not think they're going to be able to compete with this New Orleans team. So teasing this from 7 down to 1. Going back to that Texans Miami game, and those Dolphins, this was an interesting spot. Like, before the Tyrod Taylor news, this was, in all indications, Miami should have won this game. Now that's a little bit questionable. So for me, I like this as being a pretty good under, even with the number as it sits at 46.5, just because Houston with Tyrod Taylor is going to want to run the ball a lot and keep the clock moving with a lot of easy passes. So teasing this game up from 46.5 to 52.5, I think is almost an easy win. And then I'm going to my Cowboys. Double-digit favorites at home. Dak is back. Like, what more can you say for this offense? Like I just said, they beat the crappy Vikings on the road with Cooper Rush. Michael Gallup has the potential to return this week. Zeke and Pollard, are fresh right now. This team is raring to dominate this Broncos offense, who might be minus Noah Fant. I know Jared Jeudy came back, but yeah, no, that ain't happening.
Yeah, Albert O is interesting if we find out that
he's been limited in practice as well, so we'll see how fresh he is. So yeah, it'll Cowboys, I think, are legit. They've finally proven it to me. So teasing this down to 4 from 10, I think, is the play. Yep. And then I hate doing this, Kyle. The Rams at home. This line is going down, so people are definitely taking Tennessee with the points. I don't know if that's Adrian Peterson excitement, but 7.5, the Rams are favored at home. Teasing this down to 1.5 point favorites in LA for the Rams, with the potential that Von Miller returns this week against a banged up Titans offensive line, who is probably going to have to pass a little bit more. I love the Rams minus 1.5 here. So yeah, teasing them down is the play.
No, I think that's 100% the play. And I think, both teams could run it a little bit more than maybe we expect, and that ends up keeping the score a little bit closer. So if you're getting that full 7.5,
yeah, a lot of times too.
I don't fault anyone going there, but if it's Darrell Henderson, Sony Michel running, and Adrian Peterson running the other way, and lots of punts and just kind of an ugly game, I could see this, being a little bit closer. But yeah, I think the Rams are absolutely going to win this.
Yeah.
And probably cover the number, but I could see why it's moving towards the Titans a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to put it past Tennessee being able to compete in this game, but I mean, like, you can't
If it
look
was
past the early season
2012 and
struggles
we had
on
Julio and
defense.
Adrian Peterson, like I'd be ecstatic.
True.
But in 2021, it's
Yeah.
a little dusty in the locker room. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So to recap, my 4-leg teaser this week, I got New Orleans -1, Texans at Dolphins under 52.5 total points, Cowboys teased down to 4, and the Rams at home -1.5.
Yeah.
6-point teaser, 4 legs. Let's get it.
I like it. I like it a lot. Time to talk some props. I have a few this week. Last week did not go as well as I had hoped. I thought maybe jumping on the prop game would be good. Did not go as well, but I got a couple this week. I'm going with Jalen Hurts over 48.5 rushing yards.
Love it.
As I mentioned, against that Chargers defense, I think there will be opportunities, especially late in the game, for him to run. His last 5 games, 47 yards, 30 yards, 44, 61, 71. You can run on the Chargers. I think there will be opportunities. And if a game gets ugly, I think there will be plenty of chances.
Especially too, real quick on that game with the Eagles' offensive line being a little banged up right now with Joey Bosa on the outside there. He's going to have to escape the pocket a lot, which is going to lead to plenty of rushing opportunities for Hurts.
Yep. Another rushing quarterback prop I like. I like Patrick Mahomes over 21.5. It did not
you
work
love
out
these
last week. But I'm going to go back to the well. I think that was more about that game than this one. I am a little worried that Green Bay doesn't quite push them enough, but I think they're going to be a little more safe trying to keep this game close and play their secondary back, play their linebackers back, and give Mahomes running room underneath. And I'm going to take the over 20.5. You can't hit it consistently for like 5-6 weeks, jump off, miss 1 week, and then all of a sudden we're off the train. So I think that makes sense. There's a couple other ones I like. As you mentioned, with Tyrod back, I think Brandon Cooks is absolutely in play. His over-under for receptions is 4.5, and it's heavily juiced to the over. Not necessarily in love with that. I think it could easily get there, but I'm looking at the over yardage. I think he could do it on 1 or 2 catches. So over 65.5 is a play that I'm going to be making and add to the card. I also want to look at Alvin Kamara numbers. They don't have them posted yet over on EK Sportsbook. I'm going to pull up the FTN prop shop to see if they have numbers posted. I'm guessing they're waiting to see.
It'll definitely be predicated on whether or not
to see who's active. Starting under center.
So we have rushing yards props.
So I would look at I would look at under on his receptions if you can get anything north of, I say 4 or more. I would look to the under there. Taysom Hill does not check down, and when he does, he rifles it at his head. Not exactly a recipe for receptions. I think there could be some opportunities there. You could also look at potentially, if Taysom Hill's under center, look at Taysom Hill to anytime touchdown. Taysom Hill, 2 touchdowns. You could get some nice juice there as well.
I just want to say to Taysom Hill, I roster him in all of my redraft leagues this year. Can he please hand the ball off to Alvin Kamara rather than running in all the damn touchdowns? Like, what the F?
No, that's definitely not happening. I'm sorry. Alvin Kamara's potential just dropped.
I do want to use that as a quick segue into a player prop that I just recently figured out I will be betting this week, and that's Alvin Kamara's longest rush prop is at 14.5 yards.
Under.
I'm going to take the over there. I think he's going to see, 12 to 14 carries, but against this Falcons defense, I think they're definitely susceptible to big plays. And Kamara is just like he hasn't hit that big one yet, and it's coming.
Yeah, I don't. It's just he keeps he's getting volume, but it's just like chunky, little bits of here, little bits of there.
I do think that the addition of Mark Ingram will help keep him fresher throughout games. So you will see more explosive plays out of Kamara going forward.
Yeah. I also like the Dolphins passing game this week. I'm not exactly sure how to attack it, but like Jalen Waddle over 5.5 catches at plus money is interesting.
Really?
Devontae Parker over 4.5 catches at minus 120 is interesting.
The only thing I worry about with the Dolphins is the volume that their offense is actually going to see with Houston having Tyrod Taylor back, because they're going to operate as probably the slowest paced team in the NFL this week.
So Waddle's over receiving is 56.5.
Oh, that could be one slant.
Yeah, but he's not like, they don't really use him like that. It's a lot of shorter underneath.
Well,
That's why I kind of like
I think that's
the
more
receptions more than the yards. Nico Collins on the other end over 31.5 could be interesting if he gets enough volume. David Johnson, like I feel like there's potential props in that game.
I wouldn't touch any of the Texans running backs, by the way. With Rex Burkhead leading the effing backfield last week in carries, like, what are they doing?
People load up on that. I think what you do, honestly, is you just target everyone's unders, and then
that's true.
And then maybe one of the guys gets there, but the rest of the people. Oh, it looks like
that's ingenious.
Like our friends at DraftKings just pulled down. Okay, everything's back up. That's good. Yeah, no, you just target. You bet all the running back unders, and then maybe one guy goes over, but the other 2 or 3 names all go under, and then you're loving life.
That's brilliant. So, and there's one more player prop that I will be betting, and that's AJ Dillon's rush yards prop this week is just at 35.5. They've started to implement him more into the rushing game. You saw it last week against Arizona, where he has become the hammer, and Aaron Jones is starting to see a lot more time off the field. They know that he's probably not as durable of a back as they kind of want as that RB1. So they're using him more, in more crucial situations and using AJ Dillon to get those rough yards. And especially this week with Jordan Love playing quarterback against the Kansas City Chiefs offense that is going to score, expect Green Bay to run the ball and run the ball a lot, leaving both of those RBs to get plenty of touches.
What's your read on the Bengals-Browns game? I feel like
people are fading Cleveland too fast.
See, I think no, but I feel like people are on Cleveland. Like, I feel like that's where because like they're this line. I mean, the Browns are plus 2.5 now. 32% of the bets, 50% of the money. The under is getting pounded. Obviously, Nick Chubb is interesting, but like I really like T. Higgins. I like Jamar Chase and even Tyler Boyd. And they're all like Higgins and Boyd are their reception props are at 4.5. Jamar Chase is 5.5. Maybe you just take all unders on there and then hope to get 2 of them if it's going to be a lower scoring, a little more running than people think. But like I just, when I'm building DFS lineups this week, I keep gravitating towards those guys like T. Higgins 60.5 receiving yards, Tyler Boyd 47.5. Jamar Chase 73. I'm not touching that, but I could find myself.
That could be one play though for him.
To Higgins, and yeah, that's true. The way he's been playing too, he's been great. And our boy Dan Arnold over 36.5 receiving
hell
yards.
Yeah, hammer that
minus
baby.
120 right now.
It is coming to fruition. It may not be the Darnold to Arnold connection, but Dan Arnold is a legit receiving threat at the tight end position.
Yeah. And I don't really want to hit on the whole Henry Ruggs scenario, but it does open up targets for Bryan Edwards and for Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller, who's back this week. So there could be some opportunities. As much as I like the Giants, and I was this close, Brian, this close to putting that Giants +3 on my card.
That was
like, are the Raiders good? Like, are the Raiders actually kind of good?
It's interesting about the Raiders because they've been pretty damn good. Like,
yeah, they've been good on both sides of the ball. They're rushing the passer. Derek Carr's been great.
The one thing I will
comments post Henry Ruggs situation have been really impressive. I just wonder if after the Gruden stuff, after all that stuff, and now this, going on the road to the Giants. I'm doing it, Brian. I told myself I wouldn't do it. Giants +3, making the betting card.
Yeah, and not to elaborate at all or even get touch on the situation too much, but like the presence that the speed of a guy like Henry Ruggs brought to that offense will be sorely missed.
Yeah, even if he's just like, not necessarily even getting the targets, just opening up stuff for Waller and Renfro and all these guys underneath.
Yep. That's why I actually think the Raiders go out and they make a play for Deshaun Jackson because they need that guy
I think that
to
makes
take
a
the
lot
top
of
off the
sense.
defense to open it up for Hunter Renfro, for Brian Edwards, for Darren Waller.
I think the Titans could make some sense too if they want to be a little more like, we talked about it a little bit, but post Derrick Henry injury could be a move to open up the passing game a little more.
Yeah.
Take the top off the defense, and then more opportunities for Julio and AJ Brown. Okay, Brian, we talked some props, we talked some games, we talked their teaser, we got it all played out. That leaves one thing and one thing only. What's your best bet for week number 9?
Let's go, baby. I'm flying in Baltimore with the Ravens. -6. I think that this team is on the cusp of taking over the mantle as the best team in the AFC. Lamar Jackson, like I said, if he continues to put up the passing numbers that he is, along with his rushing, he is well on his way to his second MVP.
I think that's a good call. I am not going to ride the wave because when we go simpatico, it does not end well. I'm going to go Chargers, Eagles over 49.5. I really wanted to go Carolina, but I can't do it. But I will take the over on Chargers, Eagles. I think the Chargers cover. I think the Eagles win. Chargers cover. They go over the total. But I will take the total in that game, which means, if anything, like last week when I took the over in my article instead of taking the Bills just to cover the 2 touchdowns, the Chargers will win by 3 or 4 or 5, but they won't hit the over, and I'll just be like, why didn't I just take the thing I like? But playing a little safer. I like the Hurts prop. I almost went there. I'm pretty comfortable with my card. I don't love it, don't hate it. It's usually a sign of good things to come. So let us know down in the comments who you like for week 9. That's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. We'll be back on Tuesday to recap everything, and then back again on Friday to get you set for week number 10. Brian, we are in double-digit weeks. We are basically halfway through the season.
Crazy.
It's truly insane.
It is.
We'll talk to y'all next time.